Okay, welcome to Unit 7.01. So for people who this may be your first course with me, this may take a little getting used to, but this is how I'm going to do my basic lectures for each of the classes, or each of the chapters within the book. And now's the point where I start to get paranoid about my insane hair. It will change every time because I don't know why. Anyway, so, ironically enough, we're going to be describing people, identifying people. We've done a little bit of that in ASL 1. So, kind of repeating the pattern, signing naturally tends to set things up in ASL 1, then go back and build upon those things for ASL 2, or, well, the second textbook. So, we are going to be identifying. Let me go up here. All right. So, I will put this video that I'm recording of the entire screen with me and the PowerPoint on this slide. So when you open it up, it's there for you. I've also embedded a bunch of GIF or GIF files in this slideshow so that are coming right from the textbook. If you find that it slows down the PowerPoint, like if it gums up the works too much, just email me because I can go through and eliminate those. And that shouldn't be a problem. All right, so the goals of the chapter are 3. We're going to be looking at how to identify a person based on how they look. So describing someone so someone can look at people in a room and pick out which one we're talking about. We're going to use a couple different things. We're going to talk about body position, where last in ASL 1, we did talk a little bit about clothing. We talked about descriptors. One of the first ones that the book talks about, which is problematic, is gender. At the time that the book came out, it was considered pretty straightforward. Are they male or are they female? That's it. Without really acknowledging the fact that that gender is not a simple issue. So we're tending to get away from that, especially in the class. Out in the community, it may be a little bit different. It may be a little bit more rigid still. Progress is slow. So for this class, I want to sort of have gender take a sort of back seat, where if you know the answer to that, great, you can use that. If not, let's find other ways of describing people. One of the nice things about pronouns in ASL is they are this, chung or this, chung. That's it. We don't have gender-based pronouns, or like other languages where there are gender-based words. So like beach is female in Spanish, if I remember correctly. So those kind of things. So we'll be looking at how to describe people in other ways. Body position, their appearance, hair. And by appearance, we're talking about hair, accessories, things like that. And then more clothing options that we can sign. There's a lot of vocab. ASL2 is going to have lots of vocab. So stay up on vocab. Don't get behind, because it will be a lot to cram in before the final. So, word of warning. So I'm going to go through all of these, but just so they're all listed in one place. And there's one dialogue that we're going to sort of focus on and practice and keep coming back to. And it will be in the conversation video that you'll see, where it's the first person identifies someone in the room using some of those different descriptors. See that person over there? And the other person goes, oh, this person. And the other person says, yeah, could you tell them this? And then the other person goes over and relays that message. It's something we can do in class where you say, oh, see that person with the yellow jacket? Yeah. Could you go tell them I like their jacket? Sure. I have a dog who's peeking in. Hi. Yes, did you want to come in? Here. This is Augie. This is my dog, who's got the wonderfully threatening underbite. Grrr, look at that. So he will come in and visit quite often. So you'll see him. But I'm going to put him on my chair. All right, curl up. Yes, you can't sit in my lap because I'm teaching. Okay. That was a very loud shake. So how we sign that sentence is you've noticed with a lot of the different conversations here, the first thing we do is get someone's attention. So we're assuming that we're starting from scratch. You're doing something, someone's doing something, you're like, oh, hey, 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 hey. Could be a tap, just wave, something nice and simple. Don't throw anything heavy. No, don't throw books or knives at people. That's not considered nice. So see, and then towards that person over there, right? You can even actually point, and then give some. Yes, I know. Then give some kind of description. See, person with the red shirt or the red hair or tall person, right? So you can use any of the descriptors. If you know the gender, then that's an easy one to go with. And as we start going into this, I want you to recognize something that tends to make hearing people feel a bit uncomfortable. When we're describing people physically, it's not a judgment. If we describe body type, it's literally a physical body. Okay, it's literally a physical description. It's not a judgment. So, in the same way, if you're describing refrigerators, the tall one versus the wide one versus the deep one, right? So we can describe all of those things. We do the same with people because we're looking at how do you describe, how do you differentiate between any two people? So to say someone is large can be, it's all in the delivery. Is it being delivered as something judgmental of, oh, that fat person, or saying the person that's larger than the other person? Okay, so just be really aware it's in how you produce the sign, the judgment. So be very careful with that. Remember to stay objective. You're just describing visual attributes, what you see. And then just check yourself, right? Okay, but I'm gonna need hands. Okay. So you describe and maybe do two descriptions. See the person with the red hair and plaid shirt, boom. The other person says, oh, that one. And you can add a descriptor. Oh, that one who's standing there in the corner. Yeah, that one. And it's the OIC movement we've done as a response, but it's boom, that one, that one, that one. Okay. And again, if questions versus nodding. Now we're going to use 3 new concepts. Now we've looked a little bit at these, but classifiers are a little different than vocab. They are a vocab word is very similar to a word in English. A classifier is a lot more like a GIF or a drawing or a much more like or an action, like a gesture. Okay, but I got to set you down. I'm so sorry. I know you're going to hate it, but I can put this over you. Here's a little blanket. Okay? You can curl up on that. Sorry. Okay. So there are 8 different types of classifiers. We're going to look at 3 right now. One is a body classifier, and that's where you take on the role of that other person. So you're going to imitate what they're doing. Right? Or even just standing there like that, right? So that's where you put it on. It's also called role shifting. So we're looking at it, linguists will look at it more as a body classifier. It's not vocab, it's something extra vocabulary. The next thing is a body part classifier, where you're going to illustrate what the person is doing or what the object is doing with a part of its body. Like, for example, if you are sitting cross-legged, I'm using my index fingers as my legs, and I cross them. So I'm sitting with my legs extended in front of me, crossed, right? Buddy, you have to be quiet, okay? I'm sorry. And then and it could even be any body part, any part that. Yes, I see you. Okay, I'm going to pause this and see if I can do something with him. Because I can't. Hopefully that's taken care of. He's adorable, but there's a reason I don't have children, because I don't want them whining. Dogs doing the same thing. Anyway, brain the size of a walnut, right? Okay, so let's jump back. So there are three types of classifiers: body classifier, role shifting, where you become the other person and show exactly what you're doing. Body part classifier, um, it's hard to show like crossing my legs, right? So you can do it with the fingers or the hands to show it. You've seen this sign for walking, probably. It's a body part classifier. The hands represent the feet, and we show what they're doing. Ballet is like this because, people think in ballet everybody's on point, right? Um, and could be something like eyebrows. Eyebrows go up, right? You've seen this sign when we do eyebrows up or eyebrows down. Those are body part classifiers. And then the last is descriptive classifiers. And that's a lot of the different things we've done with patterns or, and a lot of them come up in here. So if we've done them in previous chapters, if you looked at them of like something wearing striped shirts or like this is a plaid, right? So it's down and across. So any kind of descriptor, what the shape of the hair is. So those kind of things, those are descriptive classifiers. Now, I'm on the same slide with this, I wanted to put the non-manual markers. What are the facial expressions that go with these? We've done small, medium, and large, where small is kind of a pursed face, ooh, right? So the large is chaw, chaw, chaw. And the medium is just kind of It's Three Bears type stuff, right? There's baby bear with the small bed, and then there's mama with the medium size, and papa with the big bed, right? So those are the easiest ways of thinking about small, medium, large. Everything is relative in ASL. So if it's smaller than expected, it may be still huge, but it's smaller than expected. Like elephant, right? A baby elephant is cute, even though it's 6 feet tall. Whereas a normal elephant, you'd think about 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And if one was 15 to 20 feet tall, you'd be like, oh, huge elephant, right? So keep in mind, kind of like if you order something at a restaurant and you expect, when I went out one time and for a very, very nice dinner, and I was like, it said rack of lamb. And I went, you know what? This is a special day. And I'm a carnivore. So for all those people who are not, I apologize. Lambs are cute. They're also delicious. Anyway, so I ordered rack of lamb, was all excited, and the price seemed to be pretty expensive, so it was going to be a good amount of food. And it came back, and it was like 2 or 3 little pieces of lamb on the bone. I was like, whoa, that's not a rack. So anyway, it was a long time ago. Other ones we go, and E. What's the best way? Puffed is something like a chunky. It's hard to explain these just right out of context. Let me just pull up. So probably the easiest way of describing like E is later we'll get to really curly hair. Kind of a smile. It says E, but it's kind of like the other one is open mouth, and open mouth oftentimes would be if you're talking about something like long hair, it's somewhere between and cha. It's like and ooh, open mouth and puff. If we're talking about like a thick vest or like the down jackets that are big and puffy, puffing out the cheeks. So that's probably the easiest way of explaining them. Non-manuals tend to be a bit difficult to like pin down because it's a piece that you don't actually think about. It's almost like a sound effect when you're signing something. So it's oftentimes the hardest thing to come up with an example for as a teacher. So body classifier. Put your arm around someone, hug somebody, lean up against the wall. anything we see a person do, and this is just an explanation. So if you're looking at this without the video playing, that these can describe. Um, to point out a person in the room, again, those are the instructions again. Sorry, that's how it comes in. Boom. So you're going to see all this vocab in the GIFs and then in the slideshow that I'm going to attach. So whatever you see someone doing, right? We can also do, those were body classifiers, right? So we were acting it out. Now we're getting to body part. What are people doing with their legs? Cross legs, right? So extend in front. Just extend in front. Oftentimes we're describing like, oh, I just relaxed at home. Just had my legs out in front of me and was relaxed. You can cross, right? Sitting cross-legged. You can sit with one underneath. Boom. So this one's extended. This one's underneath. Or you can reverse, right? So however you're sitting, boom, 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 and boom. These are the legs, right? Or, right, man spread. So again, it's just you're using these as the legs and just show what they're going to do or what they're doing. So I included these in here. Let me know if it gums up the works, if it slows it down, because I have a separate slideshow that you can see all of those. So now we're comparing height. Back to there. Okay. So easy. Short, tall. Could be a little bit taller, could be a lot taller, could be a little bit shorter, or a lot shorter. Right? So those are a lot of it's relative too. Are they taller than you or shorter than you? So at ASL, a lot of things like size related are relative. So again, I put them in here. Now, here's where we're going to start to get a little bit touchy. So again, we're just describing someone objectively. So now there are two different ways we can sign thin. There is this, which is very skinny, right? And another way is you're kind of doing like they're just this wide across. So it's skinny. Right. It's really tempting to do like, woohoo, sexy. But it's just, this is sort of average, which in America is very different. So not skinny, not large, muscular. This hand shape is used for like specific, large, boom, muscular, right? Right? And we do use the puffed cheeks a little bit. So again, it's remember to make this objective, not judgmental. Okay. So now describing head and face. We're going to be picking out the salient details. So we've got sunglasses or glasses, right? Boom, boom, boom. You can also fingerspell sun, sunglasses. You could do yellow glasses, dark glasses. You can even show, boom, they're like thick lenses, big lenses, tiny lenses. We'll get into more of that later, more descriptive classifiers. But in this case, sun, glasses, mustache, and draw what, could be a little mustache, could be big, could be hangs all the way down, or mine It never grows in, but the mustache isn't though. So boop, mustache. Then a beard, and depending on the thickness is your facial expression. It could be small, could be pretty good size. This is like prepubescent. Hey, buddy, don't rub up against it. If you knock over my camera, if you knock over my laptop, I'll be mad. Come, go over here. This is a cat. Here. This is Grayson. He's lovely and adorable and soft and annoying as crap because he will want to rub up against the pedestal that my camera's on. No, get down. Get down. Come on. All right. Yep. Get down. Okay. So, beard. If it's a big beard, one sign for Santa Claus is hat. And you can even do more, like if it's a baseball cap, different kinds of hat. A hijab or scarf of some kind, we usually do this. If you do a round, it means like a winter scarf versus. Then, now we're getting into more hairstyles. Come over here, bud. Come over here. If you knock that thing over, my boss is going to be mad. You ruined my laptop. Okay, so the first is bald. And there are two different ways you can do it. There's bald with the middle finger. And I've seen this for like, if this is the head, there's nothing on it. I tend to do bald. Bald. So he's doing bald or bald. Either one. I've tried to include as many of the options, alternates that I can. All right, we'll make him happy. We'll turn just a little bit so you can see him. Okay. If someone has very short hair, we got, like, this is how long it is, right? And the ooh face, ooh, like that. If shoulder length, that's kind of a mm-hmm. If it's longer, that's where the O face, the open mouth, because it's not really like, wow, it's super long. It's just kind of a little bit longer than shoulder length. If it's kind of curly hair, and if it's very, very curly hair, and that's when the right? So it's kind of looks like snow coming down, right? It's Shakira. So we'll go through each of these, and I'm not going to go through each of the different ones because this is slow, but I don't know if these are showing curly hair and now hairstyles, how we wear the hair. Oftentimes you just show how you get there. So let me tip this back so the signing space is all kind of messed up here. Okay, so if it's in a bun, you pull it all back and then put the bun here. Okay, so pull to the back and bun. So that's the easiest way to think about it. Now, same thing, you pull all back and then it comes out, right? There's a little ponytail coming, right? Boom. So boom, poosh. If you've got a braid, you could pull it back and braid. So I'm just tying the knots. If you've got like dreadlocks or lots of braids, here's the twisted hair, right? And then they come down. Then we get to color. Hair red, hair gray, hair black, hair brown. Most often we will put the noun first and then the adjective. So hair brown. Because if you just sign red, we don't know what you're going to talk about. But if you say hair is red, so you want to think about it in that kind of, oh, that girl, her hair is red, as opposed to the red-headed girl. The reason why I'm saying that you should sort of start practicing this now, doing that interchangeableness of red hair, hair red, is so that you can always pick it. If you just practice doing it the way we do it in English, you'll always say red hair, red hair, red hair. And if we get into longer explanations, you'll have a hard time breaking that. So I'm just going to cut these out because as much as these are nice, we've got a separate video that you can, or a separate slideshow that you can look at all the different colors or all the different, GIFs. And I think it is going to come up the works. But anyway, so now we're going to get into clothing patterns. Now, the first one is if we got thin stripes, you can do like here, thin stripes, or you can do like there's lots of stripes, or horizontal. They could be thick, boom, boom, boom. So it really depends on how many there are. If they're like thin, ooh. If they're thick, right? Charlie Brown shirt. If it's a plaid, so it's like down and across. This is what we use for like schedule or graph paper. Polka dots, depending on the size of the polka dot, boom, boom, could be boom, 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 boom. Right. So whatever the pattern is, flowers, boom, 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 boom. Since these are individual in number 5, 6 is more of a sort of a lacy pattern. So what we tend to do is this because there's no set organization. It's just kind of 7 is if you've got a shirt with cat right in the middle, or with your name on the lapel. Okay. Or if you've got a shirt with a name across the here. So you just spell it out, California. So they really make sense. You're just showing exactly what we're seeing. And then let me jump through. You can take a look at these on your own. Now, 2 guys that I wouldn't trust my money with. The diversity in this book is really impressive, isn't it? Anyway, guy on the right looks like he's a televangelist, so be really careful. Guy on the left looks like a used car salesman, so be careful. We're screwed either way. Anyway, so now we're getting to how do we identify people? Body position. So one of them is this. One of them is this. Why is he hugging himself? Their appearance. What's their hair like? Their hair is different. One's got glasses. One doesn't have glasses. One's wearing a striped shirt under their jacket. Both suits are different. So now we're getting into the third one of clothing, right? So how would you differentiate between the two? One's on one side, one's on the other, right? Left, right, the way you see it. Don't worry about flipping it for the other person. So if we were to have a conversation, say, pick out 2 people and say, oh, describe these 2 people. You say, oh, that man. Right. So it's simple. How do you differentiate? So what I would recommend doing is a good practice is pull up a Facebook photo a friend posted with 2 different people. How would you describe the 2 people? What are the ways that you can differentiate between the 2 of them? These slides get a little bit small, so I apologize. But notice how one has a vest, one has a long sleeve shirt, one has short hair, one has a braid, one is standing with hands on hips, one has hands in pockets. So be looking for those kind of things. And then sign, you can do a sign description of pick 3 or 4 things from one person, 3 or 4 things from the other. That helps. We did contrastive structure in ASL 1, where this is on one side, this is on this side. So this person, this person. So you could say, right? Really curly hair. And has her hands up like this. So find 3 or 4 different things that you can use to describe a person. We would go through and practice all this. New body position, crossed legs, right? Versus one underneath. So combining the body part with the body classifiers. And then this is the conversation I want you to watch, where they're going to be having a conversation. She says something about a person who's off screen, asks Melvin, Iva asks Melvin to go off and say something to her. He goes off, tells her, asks a question about where she got the shirt she's wearing, the blouse she's wearing. And then Melvin goes, asks where she got it, and he comes back and relays the information. Okay. So it's a really simple conversation incorporating these things we've just been looking at. So we want to highlight the idea of how do you confirm? Like, oh, that person? Remember, eyebrows up because you're asking a yes or no question. Oh, the one with the red hair? Yes. Or no, black hair. You can correct it, right? So remember, raise brows for yes, no question. Oh, you mean this one? Yeah. Or no, and then give the new information. And you can see how they do it. Just copy what they do, imitate the signs they use in it. See that person over there with the patterned shirt with arms crossed? Yeah, that one. See? So hopefully that's in the little identifying a person clip that we pulled out. So again, different patterns of sitting, boom, boom, how their hands, all that stuff, right? So we give just this, there's tons of different examples in here to play with. And then he's over there talking about, oh, you see that woman over there? She likes your blouse. And again, this is all of the vocab that we've gone through, and I will do a separate PowerPoint with all of this. Now, I've included the homeworks from the textbook, and it's 3 or 4 mini dialogues. So here are the questions that the book asks to watch the mini dialogue and answer. Here's the mini dialogue. Watch that and take note of the questions if you want. Copy them down or take a screenshot or whatever, and make note of what those are. If you have the textbook, you can write them in there, write it in pencil so you can erase it and sell the book afterwards, okay? And I will put in the answers. Sometimes if I have time, I'll do them one by one. Most of the time, I'll just do all of the answers at once. Mini dialogue 2, 3 questions for that one. And we'll go through. Answers. And then we go, so I guess there are just 2 mini dialogues. So then identify the person in the room, add description, confirm or ask the person to relay some information. They relay the information. This would be a classroom activity that we would play with very shortly and get bored with really quickly. But it's a good thing to practice where if you go to a deaf event, if we're finally able to interact with people and go to deaf events where you say, oh, that's my classmate. That person's, that person was in my ASL 1 class. And it's just a good way of introducing and getting used to that. If you're there and I'm there and you're like, oh, who's your teacher? Oh, that person over there. And then describe me with the gray hair and the bad facial hair, right? So these are good skills to develop. If I am able to put in all of the videos, most of the chapters like this one has a lot of video, so I'm not going to include them in here. Sometimes I'll put all the videos as one big file, but they're getting kind of huge. In ASL 1, it was pretty easy. And that's basically 7.1. We're just adding some more descriptions. So go through that vocab list, make sure you know how to do it, and then identify someone and say, oh, that person with this, or, oh, see that person, red hair. I recommend picking out like 2 or 3 things to describe someone, because if you just do one, it can be confusing, especially in a group. If there's one thing that, see that guy with the big yellow hat, it's pretty easy. You could always say with the big. So for all you Curious George fans. Anyway, that's 7.1. It's a pretty easy chapter. It's just, there's a lot to play with in terms of describing people in the room.